Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to Moose Preparedness. I'm Moose, and that distinguished gentleman, I don't know if you can see the bow tie, is the dog, Apollo. Welcome back to the show. Sorry I've been gone for a little bit. The Army says, hey, we need you to go check some things out for us. You don't really get a whole lot of say, and with time changes and everything else like that, kind of puts a damper on trying to get things back in, but back in the swing. You can see fall colors, beautiful. It's a balmy 30 something odd degrees, and my dumb ass is wearing shorts because, probably a little messed up in the head, but wanted to come back at you, say, hey, I'm back. Some things I learned overseas. It's interesting and fun. One, if you're ever wondering whether or not you're getting the full story, you're probably not. Just as an FYI. Watching the news overseas and then seeing what we're pushing out over here, especially side by side, same story, different aspects. I know, big shocker, right? So it really is incumbent upon you to kind of sift through the chaff. So big takeaways is apparently, go on, big guy. He's not used to walking with me again. Gonna break him off. Big stories is the use of, or authorized use of ATACMs missiles and mines in Ukraine, and then Putin responding with ICBM launches. Okay. Hey, what's wrong? You would have thought that I'm killing him. There's that bow tie. I don't know. You can fire my camera person later. So, and then Putin launches the ICBMs back. Why does that matter? Well, I'm sure everybody's already researched the hell out of ATACMs, but as a guy who used to do, I don't know, a little bit of artillery here and there, just a skosh. Pretty long range, can carry a unitary warhead, i.e. single, big, boom, or contains cluster munitions, which are good for anti-vehicle, anti-personnel. The reason we don't use them a lot is because they have a dud rate. What is a dud rate? Well, if you have a whole bunch of bombs in the back of it, little bombs, think of them like little grenades or explosives, and there's a dud rate, that means that they don't explode in the air where they're supposed to. That means they become landmines on the ground. Well, we also authorize the use of landmines, so, there you go. Why? What's the so what? Well, what are mines used for? Mines are used as a delay tactic. Mines are used to, I almost dropped my glove. Mines are used as a way of slowing down and advancing either armor or infantry force. Now, first-person drones, suicide drones, have basically made it to where armor and vehicles are very susceptible to getting knocked out by a $500 drone. Maybe a little bit more, but you catch my drift. So it's gone back to the, enemy at the gates tactics. Everybody lines up, mass storm, go this way. Borderline World War I. And, mass has a quantity all of its own. So I might have, if I have 10, let's say just say 10 really shit hot Navy SEALs, bunches of ammo, things like that, they're awesome. They can inflict a hell of a lot of damage. But if they're faced up against 100 or 200 or 300 people that are all firing, one of the bullets is going to get lucky. And now you have 9, then you have 8, then you have 7. Picking up what I'm putting down, it's a war of attrition. It's a meat grinder. No different than Korea or other places where they just do mass wave formation. So how do you slow that down to preserve your combat power? Well, you use mines. You use places because that helps slow down the infantry from being able to assault, so you can then pick them off better, or you can channelize them into a certain area. That would be how I would use them. I'm not speaking on any knowledge of what I have, because I don't. I intentionally did not go into that stuff, so that way I know just what y'all know. I just apply the military guys or the military thinking behind it, as well as the logic. So then Putin fires off some of his ICBMs. Why is that scary? Well, it's a note. You know, most of them are nuclear capable. I think it's kind of a saber rattling. Do I think he's actually going to use nukes? No, probably not. But just a sign of saving face. Again, we in the West like to do this whole, we'll attack at our time and place of choosing, and we will do what we have to do. No, that doesn't work very well for a lot of the other countries in the world, because they lose status, they lose power and prestige. So if he just got popped in the face, don't cross this red line, we cross that red line, I'm gonna hit you back real quick to let you know you crossed that red line, and I don't appreciate it. Hey, come here. You would find the only stick that get attached to your foot. Oh, what did you do? Come here, knucklehead. Stop. It's stuck on your dew claw. Hold on. Hey. Come here. Come here. I'll get it down. All right. There you go. I swear. Just like a kid, he'd find the only one thing that you don't want them to find. Anywho, launches off a few ICBMs. All that does, in my opinion, is say, hey, look at the resolve. Those aren't cheap. I think that a lot of people are testing their weapon systems to see, okay, if this has to go to the next level, how effective are they at getting through air defenses? How effective are they at targets? Because when was the last time somebody used an ICBM to target something? Probably been a while, right? So I got to make sure it gets through the air defenses that I want it to get through. Otherwise, all those cool Cold War stockpiles that I had, they don't mean squat if it can't break through. It's kind of like when Hamas launched all those rockets, or Iran launches all those rockets against Israel. If they fire 200 rockets and only got a 10% success rate, well, you better A, make sure that 10% hits what you really want it to hit, and B, you need to factor that into your logistics. So, interesting thoughts, right? And that brings me back to, what does that mean to you? Well, if they're testing all their gear to see if it works in the scenarios that they think are going to happen, what are you doing to test your gear? As I said, I'm out here freezing my butt off, walking and testing my gear, because it's wintertime. You know what really sucks in the wintertime? Not having heat. So come extrapolate with me, if you will. Let's do a little thought-provoking conversation. If I was going to mess with my adversaries and I wanted to cause pain and suffering, especially in the wintertime, what would I go after? Especially if it's cold. Well, you go after heat, go after electricity, go after things that make life comfortable and or livable. So it's 39 degrees right now. It's going to warm up into the 50s probably today, which is really doable. But think about the folks in Ukraine. We're talking about, it's November, almost December now. And if I went after their electric grid and knocked out all their stuff, boy, I hope you guys have fire. I hope you guys have warm clothes. Hope you have layered clothes. Hope you have hats, gloves, that you're not wearing shorts like an idiot. But there's a reason why I test this stuff out. I'm wearing a t-shirt on underneath this jacket. Why? Because I want to see how it acts when I have minimal clothing underneath. I know I have long johns, or I prefer silkies, the army silks. But if this jacket lets the wind cut through, it's not worth it. It's not good. So why keep it? Get rid of it. And I found it for cheap. Right now, people on Facebook Marketplace, I don't know if cash is just short supply or what, but I found good quality gear. You know, North Face, Marmot, Mountain Hardware, Cool. Cool is one of my favorite brands because they tend to last long. I have a pair of pants from them that I've had on 3 different continents in all 4 seasons. So those cool pants I've had in all 4 seasons on multiple different continents, and they still kicking. I don't have jeans that I bought here in the U.S. that still work that long. Test your gear. Try and stay warm. If it's cold weather out, go get exposed to it a little bit. It won't kill you. Yeah, it sucks. It's not always nice, especially if you're working out in the cold like this. You get that nice breathing afterwards where your lungs are all cold from breathing. Good. Get exposed to it now so that way it's less of a shock when you do it later. Again, do I think anybody's going to hit the power grid here? Probably not. All right, bud, you ready? Come on. Let's turn around. I don't think somebody's going to crush the power grid here. But what happens if they do? Are you prepared for it? Have you tested your gear? Do you have stuff that fits? I have little ones. If your little ones are like mine, hey, let's go, Chuckles. Derp, 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 derp. Yeah, look like you're tired. He was busting at the door this morning, and now he's like dragging ass. But I have littles. Most people don't go get coats for them until it's wintertime because they grow out of that stuff. Have you done that yet? Do you make sure that they have gloves that fit? Because hands do grow. Are their gloves actually decent gloves, or are they just like the Walmart crapo gloves that, are gloves in name only, where they don't actually provide any water protection and they're not really that warm? I'd look into it. Those kind of things. Do you have a way to stay warm? Do you have a heater? If you guys live in a place where you don't have alternate heat, like for example, my particular area is electric only, I have a Mr. Buddy heater that hooks up to a 20-pound propane tank that can be used safely indoors, theoretically. So that Mr. Buddy heater is fantastic for keeping warm in a single area. Do you have blankets? Wool blankets. I have some from, I think, the Swiss military surplus shop. It's like $20. They're probably a shitload more expensive now, but I bought them because wool is fantastic if you're cold and it's wet. So it does really good for you. Lightweight stuff. I got a Mountain Hardwear puffer jacket for my wife. I originally was looking for May, but it's kind of an off beige color. It just didn't match with my eyes. But it's stupid light, and she can pack that sucker up anywhere she wants to go. And the thing is, it is very, very warm. It doesn't have very good waterproof capabilities, but you know what? If it's not raining, you don't need a waterproof jacket. That just helps keep your perspiration inside. Or perspiration, not perspiration. You can tell it's cold. Brain's not working yet. More caffeine is necessary. But it keeps all of that stuff inside instead of letting it breathe. And then you end up having issues with sweating too much. You sweat too much, get cold, or gets wet, then it gets cold, then you start having cold issues. So highly recommend getting out and testing your gear. Can you do a darn thing about stuff in Ukraine? Probably not. But you can take a look at it and go, okay, what are the things that would make my life miserable, hard, or could potentially cause significant issues with my family if they went away? During Helene, we didn't have power and it was hot, mid 80s. So afterwards it's hot and people are having trouble with adapting to the heat. It's a lot easier to dress to the cold than it is to the heat. You can only get so naked. But it helps if you have the right gear. Anyway, hopefully you found this somewhat insightful. Have a good one. If you like it, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me I'm right, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me what's your favorite gear and why. Especially for the cold. I'm looking specifically for cold weather advice for those out there who may or may not have a whole lot of experience with it, because they're new to this and need to start thinking like, hey, I don't know what to get, and then I don't want people to buy crap that they don't need. So if you've got good recommendations, please put it below. As always, stay safe out here.